Let's talk about how founders can ensure that you are going to be successful in your startup and the types of founders that I encounter that make me want to quit my job as an advisor. That's going to come together. These two we're going to discuss, and I'm going to connect the two in this video. And the takeaway you should glean from this video is to ask more questions and ask how to ask the right questions. And let me explain how that's going to impact your success and share a little bit more openly and transparently about what I have to go through and the types of founders that I encounter that I'm pretty sure are not going to be successful. And I don't want you to go down the same path because I've advised hundreds of founders directly, thousands have gone through my program, and I pretty much can tell when a founder is not going to be successful. I can't tell you if a founder will be successful and to how much, but I can definitely tell you when a founder is not going to be successful. So you want to listen to this, especially if you want to be successful eventually in the future, because to me, it is inevitable that you'll be successful if you ask the right questions and you stay out of these three traps that I'm going to explain to you in this video. Welcome to Founder Friday. This is a series where I'm not going to go through the typical technical explanation, introduce myself. This is me just talking to you, my community, all the founders who I appreciate as I reflect upon my week and I try and take some of the lessons that you might want to learn from, that you can just spend some time with me, just relax, listen to this, and we can share together. I'd love to know your thoughts and comments, and let's just continue to build community together on this channel. This week, I've had some pretty infuriating conversations with founders as I'm the advisor and chief strategy officer at startups.com. If you know, I help founders raise money. I help them do all sorts of different things when it comes to being their advisor at their startup. And some founders just don't get it. And this would all be solved if founders asked more questions, but furthermore, asked me, what questions should I be asking? When a founder asks me that question, I've had founders do that, and they say, what am I not asking you? That is a really fantastic sign. And I'm pretty sure that founder is on a track to success. If they just stay on that track, they eventually will be successful. Maybe not with the current startup that they're working on, but they will be a successful founder. And I say this all the time because founders often get me confused in terms of what I do for them. My job is not to find you an investor. It's not. My job is not to find you customers. My job is to make you a better founder. And sometimes that means you're going to have to fail to get to the point where you learn those lessons. And if we can unpack those lessons together and you ask the right questions, you will eventually be successful. Now, there are three main situations or traps that founders fall into that prevent them from asking the right questions and get me really frustrated. And if it happens enough, eventually I just don't want to work with you as a founder anymore. I fire founders all the time, or I check out, I put in the minimum effort because what I do isn't going to help. And these are the three things that occur. The first one is founders act and choose ignorance. They act ignorant and they choose ignorance. And I don't mind it if you come and you don't know and you're asking questions. Tell me how fundraising works. Tell me how product market fit works. Tell me how to split equity. Asking all the right questions. Those are the best founders. I had an amazing conversation with two ladies, two co-founders doing a deep tech product. They just asked me a whole bunch of questions. How do we improve our outreach? How do we talk to investors better? And we set them up a meeting. We got them a meeting and they were having that conversation and they asked me, how should I do this meeting? And I shared with them the best practices and they gave me a really great email response. And they said, yeah, it was a positive meeting. We're looking at taking the next steps. And I just wanted to acknowledge those founders because they started in with humility. They were curious. They asked me questions and we had a really great conversation. This is opposed to some other founders that just refuse to listen. They choose ignorance. And I send them emails and I say, this is the last thing that I told you. You ignored it. And they say, no, we want it this way. And I say, this is what I told you before. And this is why I'm telling you. And no matter how much I try and cut it and present it in different ways and try to compel them, they just flat out ignore everything. And they say, we only want to hear, this is what I'm thinking they're saying, we only want to hear from you what we want to hear. So tell us what we want to hear. And at a certain point in time, I just throw up my hands and I say, okay, that's fine. Just do it your way and see what happens because they might have to experience that pain. The ignorance might have to lead to some pain for them to say, you know what, Ed was always saying it, or I'm going to have a conversation, say, I told you so. And I might rub your face in it and cause you that pain, not because I want to be mean, because I want you to learn the lesson. And if that painful situation, that outcome is the only way that you're going to learn, well, I'm going to do my job and help you be a better founder. The way to get around this is to ask questions and say, what questions should I be asking? But I'm never going to force you to ask questions, just like I can't crack your head open and say, hey, let's pour in all the information into your head, because it's not going to help. And after a certain point in time, there's only so much. Like, you can't squeeze blood out of a stone, water out of a stone. I'm not going to be able to get through that ignorance if you're choosing to be ignorant. And that's just something you can avoid by saying, I'm going to ask questions. The next trap is from ignorance to arrogance. And this is where founders think that they know everything. And I had a conversation with a founder this past week, and I typically have these conversations. It's an ongoing thing where I say, from my vantage point, you're not the only one trying to solve the problem. So you should research your competitors and be aware you've got competitors doing it. And some founders go, oh yeah, I should really think about that. Can you help me? What should I be looking for? What competitors should I be researching? How do I go about doing this? But I have some founders just tell me, nope, I've got no competitors. You're wrong. And that is pure, flat arrogance, without even taking a moment to consider that I might see something that you don't see. Now, I don't mind a conversation where you push back and say, Ed, I appreciate you seeing this, and I see what you're seeing, but here's what I know that other people don't know. Then I love you as a founder. You give me a unique insight, and then you're educating me. Then I can ask you the questions and say, hey, tell me more about this. And I have founders educate me all the time. And if I ask the right questions, I can help the next founder, and that's why I do it. But instead of saying, hey, what competition are you thinking about? Because I had a competitor completely in my mind. I know for a fact this competitor wants to compete with this founder, but this founder instead, out of sheer arrogance, they said to me, no, Ed, you're wrong, and pretty much refuted and refused to listen. And that to me is a sign that eventually that ignorance and arrogance is going to just smack you right in the face. And that's really tough to see. So ask questions and never think that you know more than everybody around you. I believe that I'm pretty successful because I followed the advice of saying, surround yourself with people who are way smarter than you and ask them a whole bunch of questions. I will say, I may be wrong, but this is what I'm assuming. What do you see? What do you think? Tell me where I'm going off, or tell me where I'm going to blunder. Tell me where this is a really bad idea. And that allows us to open it up, and it humbles me so I'm not so arrogant that I no longer learn. And I might not be able to learn that until I unlearn something, which requires even more humility. But I have founders come to me and they attack me. It occurs. They just attack me. Ed, I'm so disappointed in you. You're supposed to do this and you're supposed to do that. But here are some of the things you should consider as to the factors that are contributing. No, Ed, you're wrong. We are right. We have the right way. And I go, okay, I can't help you. And that's when I want to fire the founder or quit my job. Do I ever get to the point where I seriously consider it? No, but there are days where I go, why am I doing this when I could just be the founder myself? Well, it just so happens I'm a better advisor than I'm a founder. So I get my head on straight, and that's what my wife is for, and that's what my friends are for, and the great community at startups.com. But the arrogance sometimes really gets under my skin, and I have to do everything I can not to just completely explode on the founder. The last trap to me that prevents good questions from being asked is entitlement. That's when a founder says, you know what? I paid the money, or I showed up, I have founder on my business card. I deserve to get investors. I deserve to get customers. I deserve everything given to me because, I don't know, somewhere down the line, someone told you just because you're a founder, you should be getting all this. These are your rights. And I believe always that every founder, no matter what, should have equal opportunity to succeed just like everybody else. And that's how I want to treat everyone. I want everybody to come to me and I will look at everybody's pitch deck. I will not judge anybody on the face of the cover. I will not judge based on any preconceived notions. I will always try to give everyone the equal shot and look at their startup and have a conversation with them. If you don't come in with ignorance and you don't come in with arrogance, then I will give you that opportunity. But if you act entitled and say, now you owe me because I'm special, you've done nothing to differentiate yourself. You've done nothing to warrant or justify. So you believe that your outcomes should be equal to everybody else. And I see this happen. If you want to go to a place where you see nothing but entitlement happen in certain corners, go check out Reddit. Reddit, in some corners, those founders are so bitter and they get so mad when someone else is successful and they say, how come I'm not successful? It's everybody else's fault. And you know for a fact that's entitlement and they are not going to be successful as founders. You want to avoid that at all costs. You are not special. You are special in the sense that you deserve the opportunity, but you're not so special that your outcomes need to be exactly the same as every other successful founder. I was chatting with another advisor at startups.com, and we have certain founders that just keep coming and say, can you introduce me to so-and-so and introduce me to so-and-so? And they hit me over and over and over again. And we literally sit down and say, we're not going to waste our social capital and give that introduction. We just make that decision because we know that founder is going to make us look bad. And if I've spent almost 30 years building my reputation, it takes one misstep, it takes one bad referral to tear down my reputation. And that's what I want to avoid. I only want to give referrals that contribute to the social capital, that make me look good so that they want more referrals so I can help more people. It's not about my ego. It's about the system. It's about self-preservation. It's about doing good business. And so if a founder comes to me and they believe they're entitled to referrals, they're entitled to anything or entitled to more attention from me, and they haven't really done anything to prove to me that they have earned it. It's a meritocracy. I'll give you all the opportunity to show it to me. If not, then that makes me want to quit my job. And that's probably the most painful type of founder that I experience all the time. Founders say to me, but Ed, this is $1 trillion opportunity. You're not seeing it. Other people aren't seeing it. How come people aren't investing in me? And that's just not a conversation that's going to go in a healthy way. If I really told you what I was thinking, most of the time those founders get really offended and really mad with me. And that's the reason I try and be gentle. I try and give some kindness. I try and kill with kindness. And I try to be as accommodating and as gracious as possible for the mental state that people are in. But I'm not going to go out of my way, and there are going to be issues if we want to continue working together. How you get through that and make sure that you don't fall in entitlement, ask more questions. Founders can ask me the question, say, do you think that this is a good idea? Or do you think that I will get the investment? Or what are my chances of getting investment? And if you say to me, just tell me the truth, rip off the Band-Aid, I want to hear it, that's going to be a much more productive conversation than you expecting me to tell you what you want to hear because you're ignorant, arrogant, or acting entitled. And those 3 words may sound really harsh, and you might be thinking to yourself, oh, you know what? Maybe I experienced that, and maybe you do need to do some introspection and look at yourself. Maybe you need to go ask someone, do I come across ignorant, arrogant, or entitled to you? Ask someone to tell you how you occur to them so that you get a full-length mirror and you can see what's going on, because that's going to set you up to work so much better with advisors like me, other founders, future investors. That's what you want to do. That's me. I'm putting my heart on my sleeve. I just want to share with you. And I'm not saying anybody in this community has been doing this to me. This is my day in, day out. The founders that I work with at startups.com, maybe you'll come join me there. I hope you do. But if not, let's continue having these conversations here on this channel. Thank you so much. I appreciate all of you. Have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you in the next video.